Seven, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
From Cafeteria Film Studios in Little Havana, Phresh presents Que Bola, where we talk to various movers and hustlers who are popping off and succeeding in the 305 and at the same time influencing the culture. I'm your boy D Fig. Holla at your boy when you see me in the street. Ew. What's good, my people? How you doing? It's your boy D Fig, Phresh, Que Bola Podcast Season 2. Episode 1. Holla at your boy when you see me in the street. Ew. So, we back in the fucking mix. We kicking it, chopping it, talking to all the real cool people in South Florida. All the people who are popping off, doing crazy shit. Creatives, artists, entrepreneurs. Without further ado, I would love to introduce you to the first guest of Season 2, Episode 1, Erin Compton, owner and operator of Last Carrot. Been established since 1975. Throwback, baby. Before I was even born. Factalicious, bro. Like, for reals. Y'all gonna love this episode. See how a person persevered so many different struggles and still came ahead in a grimy-ass city like Miami. I get to say that because I love Miami. Because I'm from here. I get to say that Miami grimy as fuck. Truth. Facts, bro. Like, fact to fact, dog. Listo. So we are in another episode of Que Bola Season 2, first episode.
Oh, nice.
You are the first episode of Que Bola Season 2. Congratulations.
Thank you.
For being the inaugural. You know, I picked you specifically because last season we closed off with a food guest, and I wanted to give a food guest as well opportunity, but from the opposite sex. Last season we had Burger Beast last season finale. You are now going to speak on behalf of the women in this particular industry, which is food and stuff like that in South Florida. Welcome to the show, Erin Compton. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Ooh, thank you for having me.
So, Erin, I met you basically by going to your shop, The Last Carrot, which is in the Grove, in the heart of the Grove. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, did you grow up in the Grove? Did you grow up in South Florida? Where'd you grow up?
I grew up in South Florida. I grew up in South Miami, and then when my parents got divorced, my dad lived in the Grove for a little bit and then eventually bought a house down in Pinecrest. But Coconut Grove was somewhere that, I grew up in because my father started The Last Carrot. And if there was a day off of school, you had to go to work with your dad. If there was a time on the weekend and my mom was working, I was too young to stay at home, so definitely I was going to buy produce with my dad and working in the shop pretty much with him.
That's what's up. So what middle school did you go to?
Ponce de
Okay,
Leon.
all right. So nine no more. That's really... So what high school did you go to?
I went to Coral Gables Senior High.
All right. So you were like more towards like north than further south than Pinecrest. You didn't go like Palmetto or nothing like that.
No, actually, our house was next to Palmetto, and I used to go play basketball there at nights, but I went to Gables because the house that I grew up in my mom was still living there, and my family wanted us to continue on the same path instead of switching high schools.
That's what's up. So when you were in high school, what were you thinking about like doing in life?
Actually, I grew up wanting to be a sports journalist.
Okay.
I'm really big into communication. I really wanted to find out what these sports players were doing. And when I grew up, I watched sports with my dad. It was like you watched Sesame Street as a kid, and then you moved on to sports. It wasn't like much TV growing up in our household. And I remember like just lying there with my dad and watching games with him, football games, basketball games, baseball games. And everybody would get interviewed, but it was only male
perspectives,
only male
guests
asking the questions, male players.
Yeah.
You didn't see any of that. And I remember asking my dad, like, why is it just men? And he was like, I don't know. That's something that you should go on and do. And really, my whole life, I thought that I was going to be a sports journalist, and that wasn't the case.
Yeah, no, definitely. You went in another path, but it's more or less the same thing because, like, you really... I could see that you have a passion for communications.
Definitely.
Okay, so...
I love communicating with my customers.
Exactly.
Love it.
So that's the thing. Like, you basically found a way to do your communications, but in another way, not necessarily in sports journalism. That's dope. So, like, you were thinking about going in that path. I read your story that you inherited the Last Carrot due to your father passing away at an early age.
Definitely. 53, he passed away.
How did that shape you as a first, not as a daughter, but just as an individual, knowing that you had like responsibilities now to carry?
Definitely a lot of responsibilities. When my dad passed away, I had just turned 20 years old. A few weeks before he had passed away, he was talking to me and he's like, listen, I'm not really feeling well. I'm really burnt out. And I really think that if you feel like you can take on some responsibility, maybe you don't go to school next semester and take off summer and fall, go back in January, if you could help me out. And he wanted to teach me to do more things, take on more responsibilities as far as working at the Carrot. And, he ended up passing away just a few weeks after that. So it was crazy that just in those few weeks, what he taught me and what I retained out of it, basically, hard work, dedication, showing up every day on time with a smile. People love when you approach them with a smile.
Yeah.
Good morning. Half the times people won't even say good morning back to you, but at least they see you because they're definitely making eye contact with you. But it's almost that they're like afraid to communicate back with you. It's
nowadays it's hard to communicate with people in open spaces when you don't know them through a click, especially in Miami.
Definitely. Oh my gosh. Like people are like almost insecure. Like, are you saying good morning to me?
Yes.
Like, yes, I'm talking to you. You're the only one in here with me right now.
Yes.
But they'll give you the dead stare, and
oh my God, you're actually talking to me.
And I got to push it out of them, I'll be like, hey, how are you? Like, what's going on with your day? Are you here on vacation? I pull it out.
I'm gonna attest to this, right? Because when I first started, all right, so first and foremost, before we even go into this, I completely goofed, but I want everybody to know, what is The Last Carrot? Because we're talking about The Last Carrot like it's one of our best friends, but the actual audience doesn't know what The Last Carrot. What is The Last Carrot?
The Last Carrot is a juice bar restaurant that, you come in, you get a fresh fruit smoothie, you get fresh vegetable juices, fresh salads, like in your face made, nothing that's really made before you get there, unless you call and order it when you're there. All my salads come with lettuce, tomatoes, cucumbers, carrots, bean sprouts, and anything that's in a salad could be stuck in a sandwich and in a pita bread. And it's a lifestyle almost, like nowadays everybody wants to be healthy and that's what they want. And
okay,
so that's coming for Phresh.
Yeah, you're coming in for Phresh. That's something I want to touch on. How long has The Last Carrot been around?
Since 1975.
Okay.
This is going to be 44 years.
All right, so 44 years of serving healthy food in South Florida.
Before it was popular.
Exactly.
That's what's amazing.
So, okay, that's exactly what I wanted to touch on because it's
my dad was way before his time.
How the fuck did he do this? Like,
who even knows?
Like, how did he even know that there was a audience for that? There was a customer base for that. Do you know any stories of like how this idea came about? What the story of the
My dad was actually making leather sandals where Jewelers used to be. Now it's New Age Piercing.
Okay.
And my dad was making leather sandals and leather chairs in the back room, actually where Noelle pierces people.
Okay.
And my dad ended up going on this trip around the U.S. and on this trip, he had collected a whole bunch of different menus from different places. And when he came back, maybe within a few months, this juice bar was for sale. The guy wanted X amount of dollars back then, and it was just a hole in the wall. And he had his juicer, he had some blenders and an orange juicer. And my dad was like, wow, that's actually something that I think that I could do. And he put the menu together, and basically it's the same menu that I have now. Wow. After he passed, I've only added about 6 items. Wow.
Yeah. No, that's something that's also that strikes you when you come into the restaurant. It's the simplicity of it is refreshing, because it's like, damn, these people only have fresh food and it's only these things. Like, you don't have too many options. I hate going into a place where you go to Cheesecake Factory and you have 30 pages of food.
You're like, what do I get? I want 3 things.
Yes, it's like, I want something healthy, but ooh, look at all this grease. Yeah. So it's like when you go into your location, you see the fucking menu right up on the wall, and you're just like, okay, I already know, like, the simplicity of it helps me get through my lunchtime, because that's like the vast majority of the time that I go in there is through lunchtime. You know what I'm saying? Or actually sometimes up to like 4 or 5.
I was gonna say you're a late.
Yeah,
you're a late comer.
yeah, I do, but that's my
That's your
lunchtime.
lunchtime,
My lunchtime is like 3 o'clock.
That's
like,
my lunchtime as well.
Okay, so that's the thing. Like, I eat lunch super late. People are like, yo, what are you doing lunchtime? This is lunchtime for me. So, like, when I show up, it's like I don't have to think like 7 million things. I already know everything in there is really good. And I already know what my favorite thing is there. So I just already go and I just pick that. So how is it that you are able to stay in a location that is so prime, like the Grove? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, rent is expensive.
Yeah,
and
like,
to have parking in Coconut Grove.
Yeah.
I am one of the few that I'm able to offer parking. You know, my original landlord was the father of the kids who are my landlords now. And he had such a great relationship with my father. And he actually moved my father into the location that we're at now. Last Carrot used to be where Sandbar Grill is.
Yeah.
That used to be like a hallway with a whole bunch of different shops. It used to be like a little mall. And my dad had his little window in that hallway.
Maybe they should do that again there.
From the space is available. Sandbar actually has it as like a cleaning closet now, but it's crazy. It's like 300 square feet.
And that's where it started?
And that's where it started.
Closet?
Yeah, and from 1975 to 1992.
In the cleaning closet. Wow, that's insane, yo. That's all right. So your dad put up the hustle. You saw the hustle. You followed the hustle.
Yeah, I definitely grew up in it.
Yeah.
For sure, with him.
So how do you feel that the business side of it is it as a woman? Do you feel that you have to approach things differently? Do you not feel like do you have to approach it differently? Like what's good with that?
I think that I approach it the same way as him. The only thing is I definitely talk to my customers a lot more than my dad did. My dad was a private, quiet man. And when he opened up, he was more than willing to talk to you and have a conversation. But he was the type of man that only spoke when he was spoken to. You know, he never went out to engage in any conversations with anybody unless he knew you on a personal level, for sure. I look at my customers like they're my friends. You know, like I want to know about your day. I want to know about your kids. It's like sometimes I've had customers that they brought their kids from elementary school and are in college now. And then when they come home in the summers, it's so nice to see them and like just see who they're becoming as a human being and what they're doing to make a difference in this world is amazing.
How do you feel? Okay, so like since you've been there so long, you've seen various phases of the area go through various things, like Cocoa Walk coming in, now Cocoa Walk getting shut down and like rebuilt and things like that. How do you feel the change has affected the community? Do you think it has affected it in a positive way, or it hasn't affected it at all? How do you feel that it's done like damage? How do you feel?
I'm torn in a way because like I do feel like we're gonna get so much positivity about the change and we're just moving forward, but then here I am, I'm so stuck in like the 70s, you know, on my vibe, on the way I live. And it's just like you go to my place hasn't changed.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm not like a beautiful store that's got brand new subway tile on the wall and like a booth with pillows.
Yeah,
you know,
exactly.
like those pillows would be trashed in a day with like dressing spots or like a smoothie falling on it. Like that's just not my type of style. But, you know, Coconut Grove, you know, when I was a kid, it was what you did at night. You went to go hang out. You walked around. We had the laser tag, you know.
Loser laps.
We had the movie theater. We had like different shops. If like you wanted to go to the Gap, you went to the Gap. You know, you got ice cream at TCBY. You know, it was
Coconut
different.
Grove to me was a loser lap lane. I used to love doing loser laps there. I would just sit in my car or my friend's car or somebody's car and just look at everybody across from in their car and basing and like the lights in the car.
Everybody was driving.
Everybody was driving and
the
just
traffic
and going around in circles and shit like that. I mean, People don't do that anymore because
No way.
Yeah,
The cops took that out real
not
quick.
only that, but it's just like telephones took that shit out.
That's true.
It's like people would do that because they wanted to see other
You wanted
people.
to see everyone. Yeah, your window was down and
That
you were
was
talking.
your Facebook. That was your, like, you know how you like scroll through like Facebook and see everybody's shit. That was your Facebook.
I definitely see that.
You know what I'm saying? So like that's what the Grove was to me. It's changed drastically now. I mean, I've seen the money and the influence come in and just completely change the face of it. I see that it's getting beautiful at the same time. I'm not hating on it that it's like, oh, it's a bad change, but it's just like it's so quick, so drastic, so quick that it's like, man, it kind of makes your head turn. You know what I'm saying?
I definitely agree with you. You know, there are a lot of still hidden gems in Coconut Grove.
Yeah.
But you gotta go visit them to make
you
them
really.
go. You know,
Yeah.
the Barnacle.
Yeah.
Ever since I've been a little girl, you know, that's where I pictured I was getting married, was the Barnacle. You know, my dad took us there. You know, when I got a boyfriend, we would go have lunch there. I would bring Last Carrot, like a picnic, like, oh, this is our spot, you know? And, you know, then they do the moonlight music, you know, with my kid when he was younger, learning how to walk there, just like being on the blanket, crawling around. And that's what I loved. I loved going, you know, to the Playhouse when I was a kid, you know, seeing plays. I remember going to see Grease and I was ecstatic. Like, that's what I wanted for my birthday. And that's what I got, were tickets to go see Grease. And that was one of my most favorite birthday gifts that I've ever gotten, was going to see that experience over there.
That's
now,
dope.
We hope that we get it back,
Yeah,
you know,
I
going.
mean, that place, I mean, I don't know what's good with that. That's a very big hope.
It's
and
in
a big
limbo
wish.
right now,
Yeah.
for sure.
What you mean it's been in limbo since like I don't even know when.
It's been about 15 years. But
That's
you know,
a sick old limbo.
definitely. But you know, the Playhouse brought a lot of people to Coconut Grove.
Yeah,
And
it
I
did.
think that a lot of people don't really realize it. A lot of old folks would come, have brunch at
Yeah.
Green Street,
Yeah.
walk over, you know, see their play, and then get on the bus and go home back
Yeah.
to their community.
Yeah. No, I mean, definitely I wish it would come back, but all that bureaucracy, you know what it is.
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna get into that. So anyways, next
the
topic.
money.
You know what it is. It's South Florida. That's the crux of South Florida. Like I was out this week and I did the 305 Cafecito Day. Shout out to Cafecito, 305 Cafecito. And we were talking to various people, and I was asking people, what do you most hate and love about South Florida? A lot of people were saying that they hate the traffic.
I was gonna say traffic.
Yeah, traffic.
That's my biggest.
See?
I live in Westchester, so
Oh my God.
like me driving.
That's not bad for you.
It's not bad, but driving to Coconut Grove in the morning is perfect because I drop my son off at high school at Gable, so it's kind of like a 10-minute drive, and
Exactly.
then I'm at work by 7:20.
Yeah,
But going home,
it's a mission.
it is, sometimes, especially if they have Santa's Enchanted Forest. I
Yeah.
hate Santa's Enchanted Forest
It
because
makes it even worse.
yeah, I live across the street from Tropical Park. So
Oh my God.
I get that from 67th all the way to 79th, bumper to bumper. And
Bumper to
especially
bumper.
on a Friday, it's
Yeah.
the worst. I don't even want to drive down Bird Road.
Santa's Enchanted. Yeah, I mean, Bird Road has gotten worse in traffic, but yeah, people, number one thing was traffic, and other people were like the influence of money. And the thing is, it's true. Like, the influence of money in South Florida is like, I feel like it's kind of like washing out. I feel right now that there's two South Floridas. There might be a east of 95 South Florida and a west of 95 South Florida. You know, like
For sure.
two different
I'm with
cities.
you.
You know what I'm saying? Like, the east of 95 is Instagrammable Miami. You know what I'm saying?
It's beautiful, though.
That's the Instagram. You know, everybody on there thirst strapping, taking like pics at the icon and shit like that. You know, and then the rest of
I'm
the
by the
South
pool.
exactly, and then the rest of South Florida is like west of 95, living the real Miami life. You know what I mean? So that kind of influence kind of has drenched out the flavor. That's why I love the Last Carrot, because it's one of those mainstays that still brings you, hearts you back to that South Florida flavor. The business has been in the family for 44 years. Is there somebody who's gonna take the mantle? Who you got in training, apprenticeship? Was good?
You know, I have my niece working now. She has taken on some more responsibilities, and I really have to say she has embraced the work ethic.
Okay.
You know, like she is going full in.
That's what's up.
She has lived in South Florida off and on her whole life. You know, my sister has had, she brought her kids to Costa Rica for a different life, homeschooled them. It was hard on the family because my brother-in-law is an arborist here in Florida, and traveling back and forth was rough. And so he said, listen, let's just try to make it. They came here. They've been here for 2 years. They'll probably just wait until my nephew graduates from high school and then go back. But
To Costa Rica?
Back to Costa Rica.
Yeah, Costa Rica is the bomb.
It's beautiful.
Yeah.
When you go there and you come home to this concrete jungle, it makes you appreciate life.
Yeah, it makes you, that's like the feeling of being in less characters it marches at a different pace.
Definitely.
So like when you walk in, I like the fact that the other day, it wasn't like the other day, I say the other day for everything, but I don't even know how long it was, that you put up like shades on the windows.
Oh, my tints.
The tints, yeah. You put tints on the windows? How long ago was that?
Like 2 years.
Okay, like you see, I said the other day. You see, the other day to me is 2 years ago. So fucking the other day, you put up the tints. When you put up those tints, it like gave it like another level of like ambiance, because you open that door and you walk into like a whole nother place. It feels like you're marching into another beat, into another vibe altogether. That's like when you go to Costa Rica and you go on vacation and you like in another vibe, and then you have to come back and you land at MIA and you're like, oh fuck, you know what I'm saying?
It's definitely gone through my head several times.
It's one of those situations. It's the same thing. That's why it's like a refuge. Now, we were talking about something earlier, how you love to talk to people, right? We're in the day and age where people don't like to talk to people.
Texting.
Texting, and it's very like, and especially younger people. I mean, I'm considered an elder millennial. You know what I'm saying? I'm like 35. So for me, being a millennial, I'm like at the cusp of just millennialship. Like I remember when there was no phones, when like those rotary things, and like you needed beepers and shit like that. I remember all of that.
I definitely had a beeper.
Anyways, so like when you try to talk to people and they're standoffish, what is that interaction like? Like,
it's so awkward.
But all right, but you want them to feel the sense of community, because that's the thing. Your restaurant has a sense of community
for sure
if you talk to people. But a lot of the millennials don't talk to people. So how do you overcome that?
I just continue talking, to be honest with you. I try to pull it out of them. I try to get the quietest person that has headphones on to pull their headphones off and just communicate with us. It's like, you can sit at my bar and sit next to someone that is, panhandling on the street, that's earned enough money from asking people, not earned, I would say beg, asking for money so they can come get a smoothie. Or like they feel like, oh, I've done so many drugs, I need to be healthy now. I'll go get a veggie juice to make it all better. So, or you can sit next to someone that is a celebrity, and you would never even recognize them because they're so casual and so calm in my place. Because when you come to my place, it's so relaxing, and then that situation can happen again at the same time the next day. You might be able to, you might sit next to the same person you sat next to the day before and not even realize it.
Exactly.
But sometimes, sometimes people will say, hey, I just saw you yesterday, and they form a friendship. I've had people meet in my store and have gone on, got married, have had kids.
Oh, wow.
It's definitely a meeting place,
It is a meeting place.
It's definitely, it's surprising because a lot of guys will bring
their dates there?
First dates there. And it is so weird and so awkward because my place is not like
a first date place.
A fork and knife where I'm cutting and I'm eating something like I can chew with my mouth closed.
Yeah.
It is sloppy.
Yeah, it's messy.
Like if you let go of your pita, you've lost it.
Yeah, basically.
Like maybe on a first date you want to eat a salad, but the boyfriend, he'll never offer the salad to anybody. I think it's almost like a test. Like I want to see if you can handle this or not.
So what's the craziest conversation you've heard of a first date?
There's so many. It depends. You can hear so many sweet things, and then you can hear so many like raunchy things. You can hear people. The thing is my place, you're sitting at a bar, and sometimes when you're on your phone, you think you're being private because you're talking to one person on the phone. but there are 25 other people
Yeah.
right next to you.
You forget that when you have headphones
You
on.
definitely forget it. And sometimes you can have a whole conversation where I've actually had to go up to people and be like, excuse me, I think you need to take this conversation outside. It's
Wow.
definitely an inappropriate conversation when that needs to be said.
That's true. So how do you encourage your staff to be like sociable?
To be honest, I think that it just comes from me. I think they see me and they see how I like things, and I want them to do the same. I want everybody that comes to my store to feel important. I want them to be able to remember your name. I want my girls to remember what you ate, what dressing you like. I want you to feel like you're a regular. Because when you feel that, you want to go back. You're like, oh, it's so easy. Once it's easy. If you are the first time coming into my store, you're lost. You don't know how the scenario goes down. And my store is still, an honesty policy. It's who's next.
Yeah.
You sit down, you take a look who's at the bar ready to order, who's before you. Then if the new person comes in, you're like, nope, I'm next.
Yeah.
It's your turn.
It's kind of like a Game of Thrones situation there.
Definitely. Because hungry people can give you the stare down.
Yeah, it's like, yo, I've been waiting for like 15 minutes, fam.
I'm
What's
ready.
good with you? It's my turn, bro.
But
Yeah.
I like that. I want my customer to be like,
To kill each
I'm
other over
next.
who's next.
No, I like the girls. Like, I'm adamant about the girls. Like, unless they don't know when they don't know who's next,
Yeah.
I want them to say it out loud, who's next. Because someone will say I'm next, or someone else is always paying attention to
Yeah.
let you know how the line goes.
Yeah.
I don't want to make it where you have to pull a number and then you see the papers everywhere. My place is already messy enough.
Not like Fresh Market.
I don't want that. I want you to take notice who's around you and be like, okay, that person's next, I'm next, and I'm
Okay,
ready.
so all those little things, all those little individual things I'm seeing is really what threads that sense of like community and like family at your location. I fell in love with your location, but I never really understood why. You know what I'm saying? It's one of those places that you go there and it's simple.
Yeah.
And you don't think that you're gonna really like it. Honestly, when I first went there, I was like, I'll give it a try. And then I showed up and I was like, yo, this place is so simple, but this place is so dope at the same time. It's like the essence is there. You know what I'm saying? So like, how do you continue to preserve the essence and like still stay ahead of the curve? Like, I remember you used to like not take cash, like
Credit cards.
Yeah, you not take credit cards. Exactly. You used to be only cash money. So like now you stepped it up. You're like, okay, I have to keep
I
it.
had to move on.
All right, exactly. So I'm sure that you're gonna be confronted with other situations, something like that in the future. What is the criteria to keep that essence of the last carat?
Well, like, the reason why I took credit cards is seriously because I was tired of everybody just being so mad at me on Yelp about, damn, I drove all the way from Kendall and they don't even take credit cards. That's what got me. It was everybody just upset about not taking credit cards, and I had to move on. The reason why I didn't want to take credit cards wasn't because it was just a cash business. I didn't want to have the paper everywhere.
Yeah.
The receipts, that just like, it tears me up, seeing all that. It's just such a waste. People will print receipts and what do you do with it?
So you waited
don't
until
even
it was
want
tablet.
So I waited till the tablets were coming. You can sign on the tablet and select no receipt. Seriously, I print maybe 2 receipts a day. Like, nobody wants it. But before, back in the day, it was like you had to sign on your paper.
Yeah.
You had to fill out your tip.
Yeah.
It was time consuming. And I just felt like it wasn't faster service in a way. It wasn't like, oh, I got my pita, I ate, 5 minutes later, I want to pay.
Yeah.
Oh, but now you got to wait because it's connecting the dial tone, it's printing here. Then I got to find your paper to make sure that the girls got the tip and I can't attend to the next person.
I see what you're saying.
It just got me.
So that was the criteria. You were like, okay, I need to move on from this.
I was tired of those Yelp reviews about this girl doesn't want to take credit cards. Like, why?
Is Yelp a big thing for restaurateurs? Yeah, right.
It is and it isn't. I think anybody that lives here knows you got to look at Yelp
Yeah.
in two different ways. You know, there's the person that, you know, I've been coming to this place for 5 years and now I want to leave them a bad review.
Yeah.
Or there's someone that's like, I just showed up at this place, it's awesome. And that is what feels good, but it's the person that wants to vent
About something
later on in life. You know, you were such a loyal customer for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then what happened? You leave me this nasty thing about how you had to wait 15 minutes.
Yeah.
But then you're back a year later.
Yeah.
Like, did I really make you that angry where you had to put it out there like that?
I mean, some people feel like they do because they don't have not like everything else in their life is going so bad that one more thing is bad that they just want to dump it all on somebody else.
Yeah.
That's kind of how like situations are now. I feel like with Yelp. So like you have to decipher, is this one of those people who's always dumping negative shit?
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I think anybody in Miami.
Or is he just genuinely giving a good critique? That's the thing, you know? It's like, are you being genuine with the critique or are you just being super neg, bro? You know what I'm saying? It's always hard with the Yelp. But yeah, I know restaurateurs. I was talking to these other restaurateurs and they were telling me, yeah, man, Yelp is dire because there's a lot of people coming in, tourists, and they don't know your name, you know? So they're going to go straight to Yelp.
They're going to look for your address. They're going to pull it up. What's fresh? What's healthy? Like, those are key words to find me when you're traveling around Coconut Grove. You're walking. But it's like anybody that's from Miami is going to read it. And I feel like we have a good sense of knowing what is a good review and what is a bad review. Okay. And especially like people our age, it's like, you know, that some people are just going to be having a bad day and it's just going to be something negative. Yeah. Or you can read 10 reviews and be like, wow, this place, you know, it's not like the most brand new store, but they have something that is good, you know. You know
what I like about your store too is that the price point is like perfect, right? So it's
I like to keep it like that.
Yeah, I'm sure. Like, you probably haven't raised the prices since 75.
I try. It's like so many people will tell me, but then it breaks my heart that I have to work out of that bubble because, you know, things do get more expensive. Yeah. You know, last year, I inside of myself, I wanted to get rid of plastic. Okay. It was definitely, some things were 5 to 10% way more. Yeah. You know, like, I just, you know, I used to pay $5 for a thing of forks. Now I'm paying $50. Yeah. You know, so it depends on, but I wanted to get rid of it. Yeah, notice all your stuff now is wood, or the straws are paper. So I don't have any single-use plastic. Even the dressing containers are made out of sugar cane. Yeah. And I just really wanted to take that boost, but I didn't raise my prices. So it really was kind of stabling for a little while. And then I was like, okay, now I got to do it. So I just actually raised the prices about a month ago. Okay. All right. But look at you. You came last week and you didn't even realize. Yeah, I did it. Yeah. That's crazy. You know, that's what I asked the girls. Did anybody say anything? Because like you and all my other regulars, they get the same items every time they come. So I switched it up. I used to get pita and now I get salad. But that's the same price. But you know, like, as far as you know, okay, I'm gonna spend $13 and now it's $14.50. Exactly. So does anybody realize that they're spending $1.50 more? You know, and you're making the earth better. And maybe you should tell people that maybe that should be something like they're contributing to making the earth better, you know? Definitely. Because it makes people happier that at least they're doing something good, you know? Like, somehow, just by showing up, you're making the earth better because you're contributing to, like, less plastics when you're going to eat your lunch or whatever it is, your breakfast or whatever it might be that you're going to eat there. Some people get a little frustrated, you know, using a wooden fork is definitely a lot more difficult than a plastic fork. Yes. The plastic knows how to stab the lettuce. The wooden fork is like a spork. It's a spork. You have to scoop your salad out. It's a different technique, and you have to learn how to use it. Like, I had to learn how to use it. And like a paper straw, you can't leave the paper straw in there too long. It gets soggy. So that's why I do like that my lids have a mouth spout now, like a coffee cup almost. So you don't necessarily have to have the straw if you want to have it later. So I like that idea. But you're definitely contributing. I think that the good outweighs the negative as far as, you know, using the wood, using the paper. and using the sugarcane for the dressing cups.
That's crazy. Like, damn, that's insane. Looking back at all the like opportunities you've been given and the achievements that you've been able to come through, what would you tell the next generation if you've had? Because who did you have as an influence besides your father? Because you spoke a lot about your father.
Yeah.
But outside of your father, who else was an influence that had you like saying, okay, I could see her do it, so I'm gonna do it?
I definitely got my worth ethics, like as far as like you put in hard work, dedication, from my mom.
Oh, from your mom.
My mom. My mom is a hard worker.
Okay.
That lady, she used to work for Chase. She used to be, I think, in like the top 2% of selling mortgages. She had made a difference here.
Yeah.
And, you know, she had worked for Chase, I think almost like 19 years, and was like, okay, I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
I'm doing something different with my life. Still selling mortgages.
Yeah.
But just for a different bank.
Yeah.
She's more at her home now, doing work from her home instead of actually traveling to an office. But that lady wakes up 5 o'clock, works hard for her clients. You know, my mom does HOA loans, a lot of them, for, you know, people that need help.
Yeah.
And she will, sometimes they'll have like different types of grants, I would say, that come out at 4 a.m. My mom will be on that computer hustling for those people to get that grant to help them. And just growing up, my mom would work on weekends. Like, I remember we would be driving to go visit my grandma. My mom would have me reading off her notes. If someone called in the car, came on the car speaker, I had to write down the information. Now it's like, so definitely working wise, my mom.
So your parents showed
hard.
you the work ethic.
Definitely, both of them.
That's good.
You know, I wouldn't say that I came from. I grew up like in a middle class family. You know, like I could say I have everything I've ever wanted, and I had nicer things when I wanted to go on a vacation or do something. You know, I had that luxury of having that freedom. But I remember coming home. All my friends got cars when they were 16, and I remember coming home like, okay, my birthday's like in 6 months. Like, I remember my best friend got a car, and I was like, my birthday's in 6 months. Like, what car are you guys gonna buy me? And my dad looked at me and was like, what do you mean, what car am I gonna buy for you? I give you a job to make money, and I'll match whatever you make. So that's really, I wanted a car. That was like my first big expense that I raised money working, saved money babysitting. I just busted my ass. And I would say that comment from my dad really put me into, oh, okay, now I got to provide for myself. You know, like, I'm not this princess in the tower, you know, waiting for someone to come save me and give me everything that I want. Like, I left that tower and I had to go provide for myself. You know, at 16 years old, I had turned 17. I didn't get enough money in that 6 months to get a car. But
you're definitely not the typical Miami girl.
No, I hear that all the time.
I'm glad. You know what? You're the type of Miami girl I love to see on the show. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you.
It's like that hustle, because you know how South Florida is sometimes portrayed in the media, and like what a typical Miami guy or Miami girl is supposed to be like, or whatever, et cetera, et cetera. And it's like, a lot of us buck that trend, you know, because of the fact that we do see the hustle in the home. You know, a lot of us come from families that are hardworking, that are like, they bust their ass to get ahead. So like, some of us pick up on it. Some of us don't, you know.
If you're raised around it, you definitely pick up on it.
That's the thing. If you're raised around that hustle, it's hard for you to like not get that hustle.
You're
bug.
ignorant if you don't see it.
Exactly. It's like that hustle bug hits you. It's like, man, I see somebody, he did that to get that because he wanted that. That means I could do that to get that.
Because you want it.
Exactly, because I want it. So that being said, what kind of advice would you give maybe a up-and-coming female restaurateur?
Hard work.
Dedication.
Building a good foundation with your employees. You know, it's hard because these are the people that take care of your business when you aren't there, and you want them to have the same mind frame as if I was there. I want them to think like me. That's why I like it when they know what the regular wants to eat. What's your name? Like, I think that that's like something great that we provide, you know, with your sandwich, you know. But building that foundation with your employees, like, they got to be loyal to you. Yeah. I'm one of the most loyal people I know, and that means something to me. You know, like, loyalty is hard to find nowadays.
Okay. Your staff is all female. What does that say of loyalty?
Not always. I have had men in the mix, you know. Sparingly. I have had great men in the mix, but, you know, sometimes even females, you move on to your next stage. Yeah. You know, I lost Chris. Yeah. Recently, I would say maybe like last October. And it's not that I lost him because he wanted another job here in Miami. Yeah. He wanted a different lifestyle and moved out to Colorado. Yeah. But, you know, seeing that guy grow from a little shithead to, you know, what he is now. Like, at first I was like, man, I don't know if this guy's going to really be the vibe that I want. Yeah. He was like, yo, boss, dog, what can I get you? And I was like, no. Like, I remember telling him one day, I was like, no. That might work when you're working your bar back job at night, and I understand that, but that's not the vibe that I want to be pulling out, like, at the last carrot.
Yo, what's good, man? I would suck at the last carrot. Let's just say that I'm the number one customer, but I suck as a last carrot host. I would fucking suck. I would be like, yo, what's good? What you want, bro? Behind the carrot.
It comes out like that in a lot of younger people, and
even if we're not trying to be rude, we just come across as rude because that's just the culture
that's
we like.
That's the lingo. Yeah, no, I get it. And nothing to knock him in any way, but I was just like, nothing what you're saying is bad. Calling the customer boss instead of sir is totally okay. Yeah. But it just didn't sit right with the vibe that was like, you know, it's more of a relaxed, you know, hippie joint.
I feel you.
And I was just like, no love. Like,
who makes the decision on the music?
It depends.
Do you guys fight over that?
No, but some people like reggae, some people don't. Some people like rock, some people don't. So we each have to find a balance.
Is there a system?
Between all of us. I would say whoever is working the morning shift chooses the music in the morning, and then who's closing tends to change the station like around 4:00.
Okay.
So you can totally have, you know, the jazz and the blues going in the morning to hip hop at night, you know, like classic R&B. You know, you never know what you're gonna get when you come into my place.
When I go in, I hear a lot of the classic hip hop, and I'm like, man, I have a
That's a lot of me.
I have this PlayStation. I have this playlist on Spotify. It's called Never Ending Playlist. It's the hardest playlist to find. You're never gonna find it. But like a lot of the music that you have on them, it's on my playlist. It's like almost 400 songs deep, though, that playlist. So it's like I have a shitload of crazy shit on there as well. But it's like, man, it's fun to go into a place and hear like one of those off the wall joints that you've found somewhere, and then it's like it's playing in that spot. So it's like it kind of confirms that this is the kind of vibe and ambiance at which I want to continuously eat at. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It brings you back to a time also when you're listening to like good music. It's like we tend to listen to a lot of music that I grew up with in middle school and high school when, you know, music was the thing. You know, you listened to music all night long. Yeah. Or you talked on your phone. You waited for your phone to ring. You would tell your friend, hey, listen, I'm going to be home at 8:00. Yeah. Ring the phone, hang up, call back again. And I know it's you, and I'll go pick it up.
Or like three-waying people and the other person being quiet on the line.
That was definitely a thing when I was in high school.
That's a throwback right there.
That's for sure.
So, being that you're from South Florida, I gotta ask you some South Florida questions. So, what is the most Miami thing you've ever experienced?
Oof. I don't even know. Like, Miami, like, as a good way, like, just having fun.
Something that you're like, only Miami stuff.
The nightlife, I would have to say, you know, could be fun. Just like you meeting up with your friends, that is definitely a Miami thing, because when I go visit, my friends in other states, it isn't like the nightlife that we have here. And I'm not even talking about like nightlife like Miami Beach. Like, forget that. You went to clubs when you were in high school and that was it. You were sneaking out to go dancing at night. And then, it became like lounge bar life as you realized, hey, this is more my scene as I get older. But just, casual, good food, drinking, having fun, smoking.
Outside of your restaurant,
yes, definitely.
what is your favorite Miami food?
I love seafood, and this restaurant I can go back from years, and it's Captain's Tavern. And not a lot of people know about it, but it's an old, like, white Miami restaurant, but it has excellent, fresh seafood. And every meal you get from there, I've always been satisfied and happy. I can't say I love the prices because I know what they're paying for certain things, but it's a full service type of restaurant. So, you get what you pay for. When I was a kid, you definitely got 2 meals out of one. I remember I would eat half my meal at night, and then the next day I would have it as leftovers. I had some family in town. I went last month. I ate my whole plate, the portions have changed dramatically, but that restaurant, it takes me back as being a kid.
Yeah.
There's also a Japanese restaurant that, it's not called Sushin anymore. It's called Sushin Izakaya. It's changed a little bit. The owners, it's in the Gables.
Okay.
It's on Aragon. It's right across the street from the hotel. That place, excellent sushi. And I would say they give you like traditional Japanese food, as far as like you go to a sushi place now and you're just ordering rolls or like edamame or like a miso soup. They, give you traditional Japanese food. And they used to have a place that was on Kendall and 107th. And we used to eat there every Saturday night.
I know which one you're talking about.
They used to have the big Buddha outside.
Yeah.
So that was like part of me growing up with my family, like my sister and I went out with our parents every Saturday night and we had sushi and Japanese food. And now they're not there, but they've moved into that smaller location in the Gables, and their dressing has not changed. Their soup has not changed. The vibe hasn't changed. The owner,
it's hard to, that's something that, after so many years of doing it, you know how to craft that vibe and that like special sauce, but it's really hard for people to get it. Popping off at the beginning. A lot of restaurants don't survive like their first couple of years.
It's hard. Rent is expensive in Miami. Rent is so expensive. So if you can't budget, you won't make it. It's hard. Let me tell you, it was hard for me. I was 20 years old.
Yeah.
I see 20-year-olds now and I'm like thinking, damn, could you do what I did?
Yeah.
It's difficult. Hard. A few years later, I had my child, and my sister wanted to go back to school when I was pregnant. So she had helped me in the beginning, but, she wanted to do her own thing. Yeah. And you can only be grateful and happy for anybody wanting to do that. So that's when I was like, okay, I really got to take charge now, because my sister's 5 years older than me. She's my older sister. So just me being a younger sister, even though it was my passion and we shared the same amount of time, I almost felt like she was my boss. Like if she said, hey, listen, I can't work, no problem. I went in and I worked for her, so when she left me, that's when I really had to feel like, okay, I got to work every day now.
You felt like you came into your own at that point?
That's definitely when I came into my own. I would say 5 weeks after I had my son, I really felt like I was going to take maternity leave and be able to come in with my boy, like just bring him when he was nap time and, stay for a few hours. But, things happened. Things changed. Yeah. The girl that was going to be taking on extra hours for me, her mom ended up passing away. So she had to go leave and handle her family stuff. And I was like, okay, I'm bringing my boy with me to work. I brought, a crib.
Yeah.
And then as he got older, I had a little strap-on seat on the bar. And then it moved into a playpen, like you can entertain yourself here. I remember going to buy like a travel swing and sticking him on the bar for an hour just so he could try to take a nap there with like everything going on. But if I wanted Last Carrot to be open, I had to go to work. I remember one time, I'll never forget, like, I used to have this, like, shutter. I would go to nurse my son, and one day the girl was running late. My son's screaming for, like, I don't know, like 15 minutes, and I had 3 people in there in the morning. And I was like, listen, you guys got to take your food to go today. I'm really sorry, but I have to lock the door. Like, I couldn't get my son to calm down. But you had to do what works,
I'm sure those 3 people didn't bug out either.
They were probably so happy to leave when my boy was just screaming. Like, you see, we're white. When we are screaming, red. Like, and my son had like see-through hair. Like, I'll just never forget.
See-through hair.
It was like so blonde that like it wasn't even there,
I've seen
and
that.
his face was just so red, and then you just see the tongue like wiggling, and I was just like, I'm so sorry. Like, I was so embarrassed because here I am, like, I should have it together. Like, my morning girl should be on time, and it's not, and I'm just trying to do what's working. But those 3 people still came back. I think that they see
the hustle.
They're proud of me. A lot of people. That's one thing that I hear all the time that never gets old. Your father would be so proud. Like, people that knew my dad have seen me grow up in the store and now be a mom and see me with my child. Yeah. It's something special, definitely.
It definitely is. It's something that I never met your father. I wasn't around for that period, but like, I could totally see that particular vibe, and I could see that in the restaurant, like, I see that hustle, and I see how all your people who work there, which is like my biggest thing, because I've owned a company where I had 8 employees, and I couldn't handle that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why I shut down shop legit and said, I'm doing this for myself and my overhead, whatever, Yeah. It was like, it's really hard to get people to be as committed as you are to your vision. So, like, I applaud you with that as well. I mean, maybe it's a secret sauce I don't have, I have to find an all-female cast or something that I can teach. I don't know what it is.
It's being committed and loyal,
to your employees.
To my employees.
And then being committed and loyal to you.
And them as same. Yeah. You do as to others as others do to you.
Yeah, but you have to find somebody who knows that lesson.
They learn it real fast when you're at my store.
Okay, so you teach it.
I definitely teach it. I would say if you don't come in with that mindset, you are definitely learning it real quick.
Okay, that's the thing. You gotta, like, how do you teach people that mindset? You know what I'm saying? Especially, like, a lot of kids nowadays, I feel, people are like, oh, you're the old grumpy dude. I'm not old grumpy dude. You know what I'm saying? I see a lot of kids that are like mad ungrateful. You know what I'm saying? Nowadays, it's like, yo, back in the day, I would go crazy for like some Jordans or some shit like that. Now kids is like, oh, whatever, about even phones or whatever that costs $1,000, $2,000, and it's like, what? What's wrong with you?
Tell me about it. The competition is there for kids.
That's why, like, those kids are turning into like the next generation of employees, and it's just like I see these young kids that you have at your not young kids, these young people who are working at your restaurant, and I see how they have that same work ethic that you have. I'm like, damn, that's hard as fuck to do. That's why I tip my hat off to you. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you. It's definitely a work in progress. Sometimes when you come to apply for the job, you're like, oh man, I could do this. This is so easy. You're just like cutting carrots and you're making sandwiches. Like, it is, you're standing on your feet 7-8 hours. You are dancing around people. Yeah. You are hustling from the cooler back and forth. Like, you're banging into people. You're trying to communicate with the customer. You're trying to communicate with your colleague, like, hey, will you make that tuna pita? Why I make your juice? Yeah. You want to be able to help each other out. And that's the only way it works, is if everybody helps each other out. If someone wants, hey, my boyfriend has Wednesday off. I want to go spend the day with him. We haven't had a day off together in so long. I'll work your Wednesday, you work my Thursday, whatever, you switch. And really, I don't even want to be a part of that. I just want to make sure someone's going to show up. My kids can all communicate within each other. Everybody's got your number. If you don't want to show up to work because of whatever reason, or you're sick, or you just want the day off, you need to communicate that with someone that you're working with. That's not part of my business. The only part of my business is if no one shows up.
Yeah.
Then it's like, where the fuck are you?
What's going on?
It's 12 o'clock. What is up?
What's
I got 3 rows deep in here of ready to people yelling tuna pita at me. I'll be with you in a second. They're like, I just want a juice.
Tuna pita. I've been there sometimes when there's that craziness where even the everything is packed and it's just damn, fam. I know it's gonna be a mission right now. I'm just I just sit there patiently. All right, I got time. It's not a problem. So if people wanted to reach out to you, if people wanted to stop by the shop, can you give them a Instagram, Twitter, whatever address?
My personal Instagram is Bunny Love, and I respond to DMs all the time. I'm actually hiring right now. So guys and girls, I'm hiring.
Supposedly guys and girls.
You definitely got to fit in the mix. But my Instagram for the store is at The Last Carrot.
Okay.
And also The Last Carrot Facebook, always.
Okay.
Email, phone number, just showing up. I love talking to people face to face.
And you guys are on Grand Ave and
32nd, basically. 32nd. I'm in between the subway and the Quick Stop.
All right. So Grand Ave 32nd. Well, thank you so much for coming out to Kewola, talking to us about how you popping, how it is that you are doing your thing here in South Florida through the entrepreneurship vibe. I applaud you once again for doing what you're doing. It's not easy, and it's awesome to see ladies, females in South Florida who are bigging up, the culture and bigging up themselves also through entrepreneurship and creative ways. Thank you once again.
Thank you.
Till the next time, I appreciate you. If you guys like what you heard, you already know it's the Kewola Podcast, Phresh Media. My boy D Fig, that's me. Holla at your boy when you see me in the street. Peace. Y'all already heard that. You already know what it is. At Last Carrot, IG. At Bunny Love. For Erin Compton, thank you so much, Erin, for coming on and talking to us about how you did your thing, how you continuously doing your thing, and how you showing other people how to follow in your footsteps and do their thing. Hasta la próxima. You already know. Kewola Podcast. Share this with your friends if you love it. If you hate it, share it with your enemies and everybody you hate. Just share this motherfucker because we need to be shared. Follow, share, subscribe, all that other shit. We're on YouTube, iTunes, Google Play, all the cool shit. Peace.